Hi everyone, welcome. I'm down here in my wormery, and as I usually do, I came down here equipped with some yummy foods to give to the worms. It's just an assortment of fruits and vegetables. There's pear, strawberry, the leaves of some radishes, all things that I hope that the wormies are going to enjoy for their, let's see, their 20th meal. These systems have been fed 19 times so far. They're getting up there in age, 219 days of age. I mean, if you look at some of my systems that recently started into foraging, uh, one of those bins over there, I believe, started at a younger age, perhaps age 216, when I decided it was time to go into foraging. That to me that just means no new bedding. But we're going to continue with giving these systems bedding in today's feeding. We did sort of make the decision a couple check-ins ago. They still got leaves, but we decided at least as we approach the point where we might want to consider transitioning to foraging, I've gone to just bedding that's soft, like paper, cardboard, stuff like that. So I'm going to get these systems up on the bench, put on a glove, and we're going to get them fed. Let's get started. In certain places, I cover with plastic, mainly the youngest systems where moisture retention is something that I like to help with. Towards the end of the worm bin's life, as the castings pile up, the castings themselves become a real strong holder of moisture content and don't need as much help. So at that point, breathability, a little bit of extra airflow, seems like a good way to help it manage its moisture. And this system has definitely been on that kind of threshold of me thinking perhaps it might be time to switch from plastic covers to something more breathable, something that will prevent the system or help the system prevent itself from getting too muddy and clumpy. Here everything flows and has a good kind of blended in bedding everywhere. Usually try to take the system's most recently added batch of bedding material, like the shredded paper cardboard that I threw in here with the last feeding, and get it blended in, because we'll be usually coming in with some more fresh bedding to accompany the feeding. So in this case, I didn't really find a whole lot of that, although I do know I threw in at least a good big hearty handful of shredded paper cardboard into each system last time when we fed. And, well, I'm trying to think of what else can accompany our application of bedding. I've got the old feeding zone indicators that we can toss in, because as you saw, we're bringing in another new batch of coffee that includes the filters. And, you know, this system is starting to give me even more of a sense of how important it would be to start letting these systems breathe a little bit more, because here I'm not really sensing that nice crumbliness anymore. Here I'm getting that sense that things are starting to get a little slimy and muddy, and to me less of a tendency to flow and crumble. Seems to me like less of a tendency to be able to breathe and have good airflow, and it just seems like switching from plastic to paper covers is a good idea. I was playing around with some paper bag type material that I have. It was used more as a packing material for some package. I thought that stuff would actually serve as a pretty good, even perhaps a pretty modest top covering if we were to replace the top covering plastic with paper. So why don't we do that? I like that idea. We're going to be replacing our feeding zone indicators, so we'll start off by chucking them down into the feeding zone, and then, well, let's see, how shall we go about this? This batch right here just came out of the coffee machine. It's still warm. Alright. This is not warm. This has been even had a chance to maybe have a day's or so time to dry. So what do we see here? I don't know about this, you know. I've been excluding stuff like peach pits. So these pear, mostly pear I would say, but evidently some peach in here too. Peach pit I'm going to be skipping, setting off on the side, and it'll be retired with the plastic covers. If we see another one, we'll skip running that through. Looks like we've got more than a handful of this pear skins. Maybe there's some apple skin in here too, and I already see some strawberry starting to come in because I'm pretty sure I saw a few bits of that as well in here. Good bit of juice coming out of here too. And right here, well, I guess sitting underneath a hot portion of coffee didn't give this stuff a chance as far as staying frozen. This is all thawed out for the most part. These are the leaves of radishes. This is stuff that definitely has a tendency to break down quickly. And all this nice juice coming in. Very nice. And I've got more damp stuff. My batch of prepared bedding on this go around is quite damp. So all the more reason to say it's time to switch from plastic covers to something more breathable. And we're going to go actually to the, you know, to the extreme in a way, because we're going to have sections of this just not covered, because we'll have the feeding zone indicator down the middle, right? But as far as total coverage on the top surface, between those chunks of paper bag material and our feeding zone indicator, I think we will have sections that are just exposed to the air, and they'll probably get a little dry by the next go around. It is kind of nice though, as I plow through this stuff, my first instinct is that some of it just seems a little bit too muddy. Well, we are back into bin number 1 where things were a little more crumbly already, but hopefully when we get to the outer edges of bin number 2 we see stuff that crumbles better, because it's over there that we started sensing the kind of excess dampness, signs of it at least. Give the chance for it to lose some of that before it starts to become messy. Yeah, almost makes me wish I had some dry bedding I could blend into here, but you know, it's really not that bad. These systems are still young enough to overcome a situation of getting too muddy or clumpy, I hope. Especially if we go to more or less being uncovered at this point, especially here in bin number 2. Definitely feels like a little bit of airflow, a little bit drying off would definitely do the system good. All right, stuff's piling up. Yeah, I mean, at 219 days of age, these systems are getting up there. So here we are. What's next? Well, yeah, plastic will stay off, and I'll take a closer look to make sure we haven't stranded any little wormies out on the plastic covers that we're retiring at this point. And in the place of the plastic, these kind of flimsy pieces of paper. It does, maybe I'm just reacting to the fact that I do feel like I've got systems where I've allowed things to get a little bit too muddy, and at this point I'm even feeling like in certain places, such as in bin number 2, things seem like they might have already gotten to the too muddy point. So in a way, I'm in a triage recovery kind of thing, trying to help it get back in its lane and get it running more the way that I think it would be if, well, I mean, just the way I'd like for it to be, a little bit more manageable, less prone to all this muddy clumping and stuff. I mean, there's always so many benefits to having material that just flows freely versus being all clumped up and muddy. So I've got a few things I got to take care of getting cleaned up and put away, but we're done. So before I go really quick, let me just say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye now.